Looking good. Shrimp and grits, salty, buttery, creamy, sexy like bang bang, baby.
Brett, I got you, buddy, but like, you're getting way too into this dish.
Sexy, cheesy, buttery, salty grits. Nice and silky, baby. Beautiful. No.
Brett is going to fuck those grits. Hey everybody, it's Ty, and thank you for coming back to my channel, Ty, the Tested with Ty channel, where I talk about the things that I'm testing and the things that are testing me. Today we are talking about Hell's Kitchen, though. Another recap and review. This time it's season 18, episode 7. I believe that this episode was called The Last Chef Standing. So this episode starts with another one of Chef Ramsay's extreme comparisons to working in a kitchen, for what it's like to work in a kitchen. And the chefs are all outside of Hell's Kitchen when a race car pulls up and does some fast turns or whatever, and then a pit crew comes out and changes the tires, and maybe they do some other stuff. So obviously we're about to have some kind of challenge regarding teamwork. When they get into the kitchen, they see that there are 5 classic restaurant staple dishes that, as far as they know, each teammate is going to have to prepare one of each dish, or one of these dishes. Not one of each, but one of the dishes. So the blue team has 6 chefs. One is going to have to sit out. It's only 5 dishes, and so Gizzy quickly elects herself as the chef who is not going to be performing the challenge. And Ro had something to say about it, like, oh my gosh, like, you're just going to elect yourself as the one to not, do the challenge, and just like that hand went up so quickly, I'm not going to do it. So we'll get to Ro later, but not much later. One of those 5 dishes that they are going to be preparing is shrimp and grits. And that is what Mato attempted to make for his signature dish challenge for the very, very first challenge in Hell's Kitchen. His shrimp was completely on point, according to Chef Ramsay, and his grits were not. So he is looking for redemption in this challenge. That's the dish that he wants to do again, our Louisiana man. And only a few minutes into the challenge, Chef Ramsay announces that each team is going to have to kick a member out of the kitchen. And Ro, who had so much to say about Gizzy, speaks up first to be the one to leave the kitchen for her challenge. So I'm just like, why did you have so much shit to talk about Gizzy? Like, you literally did this challenge for 5 minutes. So anyway, Brett is the first one to leave the red kitchen. He says that the dish that he's making so simple, he could talk his daughter through it, so he should be able to talk Trevor through it. So odd to me that 2 veterans were going to be the first ones out for this challenge. A few more minutes into the challenge and 2 more chefs have to leave. It's Heather in the blue kitchen and Jose in the red kitchen. And Trevor's like happy as a lark, because basically in his thoughts, the more chefs who leave, the better opportunity I have to get my shine on, so to speak. So whatever, Trevor. And then a few more minutes into it, 2 more chefs need to leave, and Mia's teammates call her to come out of the kitchen, and Scott Lee's teammates call him to come out. And he said something, he and Trevor had some kind of heated exchange. I didn't really see exactly what went down there, but I know that I heard Scott Lee say something about his bitch ass is getting on my nerves, or this bitch is getting on my nerves, referring to Trevor. So yeah, let me know if you caught exactly what their problem was. So as these chefs are getting kicked out of the kitchen, they are still very much in the challenge. Their job as they get kicked out is to remain on the sideline, so to speak, and to talk the remaining chefs in the kitchen through what they need to do to finish their dish while each chef who's in the kitchen is working on their original dish that they started out preparing. So Scott Lee and Trevor's beef continued once Scott Lee got kicked out of the kitchen. Whatever it was that Scott Lee needed Trevor to do, Scott Lee had to reiterate it twice with the bang of his fist on the counter, like, just do it! And also, we have Brett coaching Mato on his grits, and Brett wants those grits very sexy, very cheesy, very silky, baby. You know, add the milk, add the whatever, the cream and the cheese and the salt, and make those grits sexy, baby. We know he wants to fuck those grits. So now it's time for yet one more chef to leave. And the red kitchen, we have Trevor and Mato, and neither of them wants to leave. But Mato ends up being the last man standing. And in the blue kitchen, it's down to Kanae and Ariel, and neither of them wants to leave. But it ends up that Ariel is the last woman standing. Then a few moments later, all of the chefs are called to go back into their kitchens to complete their dishes, including Gizzy. Now I have to say that Ariel looked like she was very comfortable in that kitchen by herself. She didn't look like she was nervous or running scared or panicking. She looked fine. And I also got to say, I kind of think that it was unfair that Gizzy got to go back into the blue kitchen to help them, because it was still one extra chef. Unless she's in the way, you know, then I could kind of see it like that. But anyway, didn't think that that was fair. And then the girls end up plating their dishes with 21 seconds left to spare. Unless the editing was screwy, it also looked like the guys had, like, they were down to the very last second to get their plating done. It took them all the time that they had. As Trevor stood at the pass, first one to have his dish plated, while they were trying to hurry up and get sauces on and get their stuff just right, Trevor's standing at the pass screaming, "Come on! Come on!" So we'll get back to him later, but not much later, right? And then Mato and Heather, they are the ones who have the shrimp and grits. And Mato wins the point, so redemption. So to wrap up the challenge, Kanae and Jose both get a point for their fried chicken. Both of those looked good. Ariel gets a point against Brett for their veal dishes, but I guess that was actually Mia's dish, but it just turns out that Ariel cooked the main portion of the main part of that dish, which was the veal. And then Scott Lee and Ro both got a point for their spaghetti and meatballs, and Ariel gets the point against Trevor for whatever, it was some kind of, I didn't see what that was they were preparing, but anyway, I guess that the fish was like the main protein of that dish, and Trevor completely left it off of his plate, which is the same kind of boneheaded move that caused him to lose a challenge during his original season on Hell's Kitchen. And even he had to say, I guess, that, you know, I don't learn from my mistakes. So the girls win the challenge, and their prize is to go go-kart racing. The boys lose the challenge, and their punishment is that it's delivery day, so they've got to unload everything, and there's, I guess, a lot of corn and peas that they're going to have to shuck. During the punishment, Trevor starts complaining about how his hands and forearms are breaking out in hives or starting to itch. I guess getting red spots on them. Scott Lee is not having it. He starts calling him baby girl, and the guys all seem to kind of be getting a laugh out of it. But I think that it's like, it's always horrible when the person who puts your team like at the deficit, who made y'all lose basically, is the one who for some reason has to sit out the challenge or sit out part of it, go seek medical attention or whatever, you know, or all of a sudden their stomach is hurting, they gotta go lay down. I hate when that happens. And then the girls, you know, their prize, it wasn't anything spectacular, go-kart racing. I think that was one of the prizes last season on the All-Stars, and I mean, it was what it was. They probably sat down and had burgers for lunch. But I get, like, for me, these prizes, like, that seems kind of lame as a prize, but I guess for those girls, just to, for anyone who wins, just to get a break out of that Hell's Kitchen environment, I guess that they don't care what it is. They don't care if it's a trip to the most boring museum in Los Angeles, but, so yeah, whatever. They were racing on their go-karts. Not much to talk about there. When the chefs get called down to what they think is going to be dinner service, Chef Ramsay has another challenge set up for them. And this one he's basically calling the Trimming the Fat Challenge. So he wants the first 3 chefs who either were asked to leave by their teammates or volunteered themselves to leave the kitchen. They're going to have to stay and cook for their lives. And there's a farmer's market that's set up in the Hell's Kitchen dining room, and they can choose from the best ingredients in the world to make any dish of their choice. So competing in this challenge will be Gizzy, number one, because she didn't even participate. She chose to sit it out. And then Ro and Heather will join her. And on the red team, it's going to be Brett and Jose and Scott Lee. So Brett and his seafood pasta go back up to the dorm. That's the first dish that made it through. And of course, he had a very emotional return to the dorms. Just breaking down, oh man, yo, this one's for mom and dad. And I don't want to make fun of him with his parents dying, but Brett's been emotional since his original season. Where he gets in there and they're like, oh man, what happened to him? He's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Pasta, you know what I'm saying? Tomatoes, scallops, you heard, clams and everything, you know what I'm saying? Everything that's tattooed on here, you know what I'm saying? This is my parents in a dish, you heard? And, Kanae is like, you gonna make me cry. I died when she said that. We always, like black people, I think like we feel like way too much when anything revolves around death. Like we just can't take it. So Kanae is like, you gonna make me cry. Then Heather's lobster tail got her sent back up to the dorm, and Ro and her swordfish and purple cauliflower puree. I thought her dish looked really pretty, but it finally got her sent back up to the dorm against Gizzy's very rustic dish with scales still on her fish. Then Jose's pan-seared salmon gets him back up into the dorms, and then I guess for dramatic effect is the battle of the ATL chefs, and it comes down to Scott Lee versus Gizzy, who Chef Ramsay reminds us that Scott Lee took Gizzy's position at the restaurant where he works now. He took over the position that she had, and he talks about how he just heard everybody going on and on about Gizzy and how talented she was and yada yada yada. So anyway, it's down to those two today, and before the decision was announced, we see Gizzy laughing over the fact that Scott Lee didn't pick a vegetable from all of this wide, farmer's market, all these fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and, Scott Lee has his ahi tuna and decided to prepare with red lentils, which Chef Ramsay said that he wouldn't have done, but it's still better than Gizzy's dish. So, she's just like, oh my gosh, all these fresh vegetables and you put lentils, dry lentils? Like, are you kidding me? Don't laugh too fast, Gizzy, because his dish was better than yours, according to Chef Ramsay, and it got him, his ahi tuna and those dry red lentils got him back up to the dorms. Your scaly fish and you are going to be going back to Atlanta. So that's how that ended. Gizzy was the one to get eliminated this week. And after all that crazy ass preview from last week that made it look like a fight was going to go down, or some kind of physical altercation, or almost physical altercation, or physical almost altercation was going to go down between Trevor and Scott Lee, not a damn thing happened. I'm so done with these Hell's Kitchen dramatic ass previews for things that don't take place, or else that they completely edit out of the show when it's time for us to watch it. So anyway, looks like next week though we're going to see Chef Ramsay's daughter. I guess she's having her Sweet 16 party at Hell's Kitchen, and looks like she's probably a really critical judge of the dishes that they have prepared to put on her birthday party menu. So that was that. Tell me what you all think. I'm kind of running through it because I'm so late getting this review up, and these haven't been doing really, really well. But anyway, I'm going to do it because I like the show, so I want to finish what I started, and I'll finish out the whole season. And let's just get a discussion going. Who do y'all think is going to go home next? Do you all think that a rookie's going to win the whole thing? You think a veteran's going to win the whole thing? Just tell me with your predictions. Tell me what you thought about this week's episode. Tell me what you think is going to happen next week. And I appreciate you so much for tuning in. Thank you always for coming by my channel for anything. But I do appreciate you for coming and watching my Hell's Kitchen review. And I will see you all next week which is actually, it's going to be this week. It's going to be tomorrow, I guess, if it comes on tomorrow, because I'm recording this on Thanksgiving Day. So thank you all so much for waiting for this review and for sticking with me and watching it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Or if I don't see you tomorrow, we'll watch the show tomorrow, and then I'll see you like really, really shortly. I'm not going to make you wait a whole week for the review again. Thanks. Have a good one. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.